This is the issue of lockdown. Do you keep to it? Are you breaching it? What's been the reaction if you have breached it? Several gyms have insisted on keeping the doors open in defiance of the new lockdown rules that came into force in England on Thursday. The gyms insist the regulation should not apply to them and have risked fines of up to 10,000 quid to stay open after a campaign to have an exemption inserted into the law failed on Wednesday. Have a listen to how this played out for one gym owner in Essex.
Someone in charge, or we're going to have to deal with this down at the
We
police
can
station?
talk here.
Okay, what our plan is to fine the manager £1,000 and each of the members using the gym £200.
Okay.
So if you can identify the manager to me, otherwise I'll assume that's you and you'll be getting the £1,000 fine.
I do not consent to any fines.
Okay,
I'm not
then you'll be
entering into a
So you're
contract.
going to refuse to provide me with your details?
I'm not giving you any details.
Okay, so then you'll be arrested and we'll obtain other police.
I'm a living woman and we're under common law.
Okay, I disagree because we're going to be dealing with it from statute, through legislation that's been put in place due to the COVID legislations. So whatever defence you wish to raise, you can do that in court, but I'm just explaining to you how we're looking to deal with this. So, are you going to provide us with your details so we can issue this £1,000 fine?
I'm a living woman.
Okay,
And we're
I'll take
operating
that as
under
a no
common
then.
law. We're operating under common law.
Okay, at this point then, I'm arresting you for breach of COVID regulations. You do not have to say anything that may harm the defence if you do not mention the question something you later on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence.
No. There it is. The interesting part about that is that the officer said he disagreed with her when she said she was a living woman. I think he probably meant the wider issue. She was obviously citing what she felt was some kind of element of law that she thought was savvy. She's not the first person to try that, but let's speak now to one gym owner in the northwest, Kevin Harper, who opened his facilities but was told to close by the police, but he is reopening again. How are you, Kevin?
I am absolutely fabulous, thank you.
Good to have you with us. So you first closed, what, under the normal Tier 3 rules? Is that what happened?
No, we've not actually closed. With the police, the Greater Manchester went into lockdown on midnight on Wednesday.
Yep.
And we have continued to stay open, and we continue to do so. We got a lovely visit from the very amenable, very happy, very friendly police last night. They were fabulous. 6 officers attended overall, 2 officers initially. Who were fabulous, and you can tell they don't want to do this job. They're being asked to fine people, and that's not their oath. Their oath is to protect the public, and they're not doing the job that they've signed up to do.
So what did they say then when they turned up, Kev?
I asked them, was there a crime being committed, or do you suspect that I've committed a crime? And they said no, it is not. And I asked them, is this a criminal matter? And their reply was, no, it is a civil matter.
So is the law as you understand it, your gym colleague in Essex, you'll be familiar with that story. I mean, she got taken away in a police car for this.
Yeah, well, I think she was... If you don't give if the police want to take your identity and you don't give them your identity, they can arrest you for that. So that was her fault. That she needed to be a bit more savvy. You need to be a bit more switched on when you're dealing with the police. And she did no favours to herself, really.
But she didn't give her name.
That's what I'm saying. If the police ask you for your name, just give them your name. There's no problem.
So would that have changed things, though, Kev?
Yeah, because they would have just issued with a fixed penalty notice. They can't fine her. They can only issue with a fixed penalty.
But that fixed penalty would have been 1,000 quid.
Well, you've got 3 choices with any fixed penalty, haven't you? You don't have to pay it. You don't have to pay it.
Well, you go to court and work it out.
There we go. So you get 3 choices. You can either, choice number 1, pay the associated fine very quickly.
Yeah.
And the government return all the money that they've got from handing out of loans and grants, which is a money-making scheme for the government, which is illegal. Or you go to court to plead not guilty.
Okay.
And plead your case, or you can go to court and get found guilty.
Yeah.
And then,
or you don't do anything, and then somebody comes around and takes your flat screen away. But that's another story.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Exactly.
But so her error was giving her name, and therefore she was. If she'd have just given her name, she wouldn't have been arrested. She'd have just been fined.
The police are not the enemy. The police
No, I
are
get
not your
that.
enemy.
Absolutely. In terms of, so when the police showed up yesterday, I mean, the law of the land, as I understand it, Kevin, I'm sure you're going to tell me differently, is that gyms have got to close.
I'll disagree.
Okay.
It's not the law of the land. It's regulations, and they passed this through at breakneck speed, and it's not been ratified in the House of Commons or the House of Lords. So therefore, it is an illegal law. It is not law, and therefore, I have a legal claim that isn't applying to me.
So when the police came around yesterday, Kev, and said, they had a visit.
Was it criminal? And they said no.
Okay, but what did they say to you? I can't imagine they just walked away and said, no problem, open up as much as you like.
There's a video. They didn't say that. They said there's a video on my social media place. It's had about 30,000 views, and the police are very amenable, walked away. Then about 2 hours later, 4 police officers came. Didn't say a word. They were very pleasant, wonderful people. Came with 2 members of Environmental Health from Wigan Council, and who proceeded to tell me
Oh, we've just lost your sound, Kevin.
wasn't it this time?
So you said you just cut out for a second there. You said the environmental
Sorry,
health guys,
apologise.
the environmental health people turned up and they told you what?
It was under my best interest to close. They were trying to help me.
Okay.
And I appreciate that, because they were doing me a favour. I've seen some video footage of where people are not being very nice, and then I've only been treated with respect, and I will only treat people with respect.
Yeah, no, I get that. My concern, Kevin, is that they might be back and won't be so friendly because they
may do.
They will suggest you've broken the law.
I disagree. But I'm hoping that the Prime Minister will turn around and change his decision.
But isn't that like me? If I'm bombing down the road at 35 in a 30, and I say I disagree with this speed limit because it's late at night, could I not cite the same thing?
If you drive at a higher speed rate, you've got more chance of killing somebody. The statistics for my industry are the second lowest nationally. And my businesses are unlawfully being told to close, while at the same time, other businesses are being told to stay open.
There was an attempt, wasn't there, to exempt gyms, which kind of got lost in the equation.
Yeah, absolutely, rightly so, because gyms are not having a negative impact on people's...
Totally, yes. I agree with you. It's utterly bonkers, and to that you're even in this position.
Nonsense.
Yeah, I'm sure
absolutely. I've got all my eggs in one basket, and I'm being told to close unlawfully. But Mr. Johnson doesn't have any right over me to control my business. But he's
got a right as a Prime Minister to try and protect the country, hasn't he? And if he thinks that COVID spreads through people mixing, he could say, well, that one could open, that one can't.
But you can't do that. I'm a private membership. I'm not open to the general public. And the safety procedures I put in place are above and beyond anything. It's like an operating theatre. And as long as I demonstrate above and beyond, we all social distance. People wear masks.
Yeah.
People washing your hands, hand sanitizing. Do you know what I mean? We're showing as a society that we are mature and sensible and clever enough to deal with this, and then we're being treated like a nanny state, being told, you can't do this, you can't do this, but you can. And it's preposterous.
I tell you what, let's keep in touch, Kevin, because I'd be interested to know what happens, a week down the line, and if you're left alone, it'll be fascinating to see. Good luck with everything. That's Kevin Harper. Although, again, I think I'm on safe ground to say that I think that's breaking the law, right? As it stands. And I know Kevin says he has a different interpretation of it. So the advice would be not to open up your gym and not to go to a gym as the current state of play stands, because you would be breaking the law. Kev seems to think he's on firm ground, and the visit he had from the police last night certainly hasn't seemed to have bothered him, and I think he said, to paraphrase, that they didn't seem that bothered either. That wasn't the case in Essex, of course, where even if the woman hadn't been arrested, she was still going to be fined £1,000 for her and £200 for every single person in the gym. I don't know how many people were in there. But where are you on that? You heard what Kevin said. Are you with Kevin on this? I mean, he put a really reasonable point. And in terms of, private places, not public, you've got to be members, etc., social distancing, cleanliness, couldn't be more clean. and they're fit and healthy. I mean, when you listen to that, you think we are in a bonkers place, right?